Over 10 million Malibus have been sold since 1964, and in 2025, that comes to an end. Right next to me, I have the 2025 Chevy Malibu RS, and this is the final year of the Chevy Malibu, and actually the final year so far of all Chevy sedans. There will be no more Chevy sedans so far. Now, maybe they'll come out with an electric version, or maybe they'll re-come out with the Malibu completely updated in the next few years. But for right now, this is it. The last Chevy Malibu. But just because this is the final Chevy Malibu, should you go out and buy it? In this video, I'll be taking you through everything this vehicle has to offer, and let's rate it fairly. Is it worth it? The price ranges of the Malibu start at $25,000 and go all the way up to $32,000 depending on the trim. There's the LS, the RS, which I have right in front of me, the LT, and the 2LT. So after all dealer and destination fees, this comes out to be $28,000. Huge thank you to Executive Chevrolet in Wallingford, Connecticut for allowing me to use this vehicle for the day. Their information will be linked down in the description below. Now let's dive right into it and start off with the front. Now I'm gonna be totally open and honest here. The front design, I actually kind of like. I think it's a pretty unique design, but on features, this has basically nothing up front. You have halogen headlights and halogen turn signals. Now there's the Kia Forte, which has LED headlights and turn signals, and that's around the same price or even cheaper for the other models. So that's kind of a miss, but hey, halogen is cheaper to replace, so that's easy. You just take it out, replace it yourself. You don't have to go to a shop and do it, so it's actually not bad. Now you have the black Chevy bow tie right front and center, this chrome trim piece, and a black grille, which actually has a ton of airflow. You can stick your hand in through the top, bottom. Actually, this middle piece is not airflow, but this is down here. So there's a little part that's not, but a lot of it is. I like the front design on this vehicle. It definitely stands out. It's more simple, but kind of aggressive. If you catch my drift, it has more aggressive, subtle touches to it. Down here, this is plastic. Other vehicles have little air pockets. And I also do quickly want to say there is no front camera and parking sensors. Under the hood, this vehicle is powered by a 1.5 turbocharged four-cylinder engine that's producing 164 horsepower and 183 foot-pounds of torque. Now it's all going through a CVT transmission, and all that power is going to both front wheels because this is front-wheel drive. And this engine gives this vehicle a pretty healthy 31 miles to the gallon on average. Now the key fob of this vehicle is definitely not crazy, but it has a lot of good features. So you have lock, unlock, typical type of stuff every car has. And then you double tap that and the trunk automatically opens up. Now it doesn't open up fully like other hatches do. It opens up halfway, then you have to manually go open up the rest. And I can't shut it like this. So if I wanted to, I have to run over here and then shut it myself. And also this vehicle has remote start. So if I double tap the lock, hold that, this vehicle should start up, and there it goes. There is no roof rails on top of this vehicle and no sunroof. These mirrors have blind spot mounting built into them. These are 18-inch aluminum wheels with all-season weather tires. The blacked out Chevy Malibu logo there, I really like the logo there. That's super nice. Then with your keys in your pocket, hit this button here, it locks, hit it again, and it unlocks. Now that is also on the passenger side door, but is not on the rear doors. And I actually almost forgot to talk about the paint on this vehicle because this is the Nightshade metallic color, and it has this blue purplish tint to it. It is absolutely gorgeous in the light here. This paint comes standard with the vehicle. This is not an additional option, additional upgrade. Good job in Chevy for doing that. Open up the rear door and you're greeted to actually a very nice rear door, what I think should be brought in other vehicles. Now, every low-end vehicle has kind of hard touch plastic. Well, this has that as well. Down here, that's where you put drinks, snacks, gets dirty, wash it away. Speaker grill. But what this has is actual cloth and padded cloth, not just a thin layer. That's a pretty, decently thick layer of cloth all throughout here. It's squishy, like a little stuffed animal it reminds me of. So when you're resting your arm, it's kind of nice. How much is this to put on a vehicle? Probably what, a few pennies? Every vehicle should have this, even if it's like hard plastic. Why not? Now, hopping in the rear here, there's actually a ton of space. Now, this is set to my driving position. I'm 5'8", I'm not the tallest, but I have a ton of legroom in the rear. So if you push this back, I would still be fine with legroom. Now, headroom is okay. Again, I have maybe 3-4 more inches, so a 6 foot tall person just probably fit with their head in here. Legroom, definitely fine. Now, there is no AC vents in the rear. You're close to the front where it's gonna blow, so that's not a problem. And there is a 12-volt cigarette outlet port, so you can charge your phone. Now, how is the middle seat? So let's see, because there is a middle hump. Yeah, that's not gonna be comfortable. So you're gonna have to man spread in this vehicle, but there's still enough room for 3 adults to fit in here totally fine. You got a pocket on the passenger side, not on the driver, and there is no cup holder armrest in this vehicle. I wish there was, but there's not. So the only cup holders you have is that pocket and the pocket over here. So if you're holding a large McDonald's drink, you're gonna have to straddle it in this vehicle. Opening up the front door, you're greeted to the same cloth material as the rear. Again, I really like this. They should bring it to their other vehicles. Now you have a deep storage pocket here for a water bottle holder, speaker grill, but there's also a little umbrella pocket. I don't know if I can, see in there, but it goes deep. So if you have an umbrella, you can stuff it in there and then totally forget about it. When it rains, oh, I know I have it, and take it out and use it. I like that. Other vehicles should include something like that. 4 window controls, they're all non-one touch, so it's just you have to hold it down and hold it up. Mirror controls, lock, unlock, and door handle. Now here's where I'm gonna be a little nitpicky. So both these front seats are actually very comfortable. They're cloth bucket seats. They hold you into place very well. The driver's seat is power operated, so forward, back, tilt, lumbar, but the passenger is manually operated. So you have this, you gotta pull it forward, back. You have the tilt. A lot of other passenger vehicles have that. But where I think they missed the mark is these are not heated seats. For the $28,000 price tag, other vehicles have heated front seats. Why doesn't this? Turn on the vehicle to push a start and you're greeted to a very simple gauge cluster. So if you like that, this is definitely the vehicle for you. You have a tiny little screen that's digital I'll get into, but it's basically all analog. Your fuel, which is very low in fuel, coolant temperature, miles per hour, and then your RPM gauge. Now, what can this little screen do? Well, very basic stuff. Digital miles per hour there, your fuel trip, how much fuel you have left, average speed, your oil life, air temperature, tire pressure, eco mode, just very simple basic stuff. Now what's crazy is a lot of the new Chevy vehicles, basically all of them, have a massive screen here, whole digital. They took out analog. So it's the last standing Chevy vehicle that has analog in it, which kind of makes sense. They didn't really update it because it's going away for this year. Now this steering wheel is a leather wrapped non-heated steering wheel and has paddles on the back, but those do not control the gears like you would think it was. This over here controls the radio station, which I kind of like, and over here controls the volume. So it's very nice to just quickly hit those while you're driving and toot, change the radio and not have to go mess with the screen here. And this vehicle actually has a handful of safety settings. So it has blind spot monitoring in the mirrors there. You have lane keep assist, which will actually keep you in the lane. If you start getting out, it'll bump you into it. It is nowhere near a self-driving hands-free thing whatsoever, but it will bump you back in the lane if you're going out. Cruise control there. And this thing right here will light up when you're coming close to a vehicle. So if it's gonna sense, hey, you might kind of crash, it's gonna start beeping at you and blasting a little red light that shows up here. So you could be like, oh, okay, I gotta slow down. And it also has automatic pedestrian braking. So if it sees a pedestrian, a person walking around, and it's like, oh, you're gonna hit them, it's gonna automatically slam the brakes so you don't hit them. There's also a backup camera with moving trajectory lines. And I gotta be honest, this is a pretty clear, vibrant camera. Now in the distance there, it's not that clear, but up close, it's actually very nice. And you can turn off the lines if you don't want. And then when it beeps at you, if you're backing up to something, hey, you're coming close, turn that off if you don't want. The touchscreen in this vehicle is very basic. Now it has wired Android Auto and wired Apple CarPlay. Pretty cool stuff, but it doesn't have Sirius XM built in it. It has AM FM radio, and that's it. So if you don't have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay hooked up to it, there's really nothing you can do with this. This is the old system for Chevy, and a lot of the newer vehicles, again, every one of their newer vehicles, they have their new massive screen. It's bigger, it does a lot more stuff. You know, it makes sense. Again, this vehicle's going away. They didn't really decide to update it. But what I like about the old screen is you actually have physical buttons down here. So you want to go into, let's say, audio. You want to go back. Boom. Just really quick. That's to go forward and back of songs and radio stations, turn on or off the volume, and then just a simple home button. I like how it's physical buttons. You don't have to go mess through all the touchscreen and everything. Below the touchscreen, there's physical AC controls. Everyone knows how to use this, just fan speed on, off, temperature controls, adjust where you want it to. It's only one zone, it's not in dual zone like other vehicles. A little storage pocket down there to put a wallet maybe. That's your parking sensors, turn on or off, and traction control, turn it on or off as well. Now you have 2 dual cup holders here, I got them both filled. And then I love the little touch of RS on the gear shifter, the little leather kind of trim there. Now this does have a drive and low, but you can actually change the gears. So because there's no paddle shifters up here, they still wanted to change the gears. So if you want to manually go in, just use that. Emergency brake button, and then another little spot for, I guess, a wallet. The armrest is pretty comfortable actually. Lift it up and you've got a deep storage pocket. Let me actually put my camera bag in there. You can fit 2 of them. Now the rear of the vehicle I actually really like. Again, it's lacking on the features, but it has a really nice aggressive touch. This is the RS trim, so you have the spoiler in the back, the blacked out logos there. It gives it this really nice aggressive just oomph to it. Now the taillights in the back are halogen. It's halogen taillights and halogen turn signals, just like the front. Again, you got the blacked out Malibu logo, blacked out Chevy bow tie, and RS badge all the way over there. And you actually do have back, parking sensors. When the front, you didn't have front sensors. So when you back up to something like you guys on the camera, on the tripod, another human, hey, even a cat, it's gonna beep at you and say, hey, stop, no, don't hit it, because it doesn't want you to hurt anything. Down below, there's actually dual exhaust tips. And other vehicles will give you kind of fake exhaust tips. No, these are actually real exhaust tips. So there's one there and one all the way over there. This is my favorite part of all these videos because I get to see if I could fit in the trunk. Again, I'm 5'8", I'm not the tallest, so I usually can fit in these trunks. And one mat, and let's see, 2 mats can fit back here. So it's actually a pretty good amount of space you got in the Malibu here. And there's no like USB ports, there's no cigarette outlet ports, there's really nothing, it's just a trunk. Now, if you even want more space, just pull this down, karate chop kick the seats, and those will go forward. And then if you want, you can just lay a whole cabinet in here. For the big test, is there a spare tire or a fix-a-flat under here? So let me open this up real quick. And there is a fix-a-flat kit, but there's a spot for a spare tire. So I guess if you wanted to include your own, pay extra and buy your own spare tire, you could probably take that out and put a spare tire in there. Taking the Malibu out on the road, how does it feel? It just feels amazing. It really does. I have a soft spot for this vehicle. My father had a few of them. I grew up with this vehicle. So I've driven a Malibu multiple times in my life, older generations, newer generations. It's just so chill. There's really nothing that stands out about the Malibus, and I think that's maybe why it's kind of dying out, is because it's just a perfect everyday vehicle. And when people go and buy a car, they want something that stands out, like, really big trunk space, really big fast engine, the specific thing. This just does everything well, and I think it just gets missed. It's like that, the brother that no one really pays attention to because it's just they're all around good with everything, where one person is good at this and one person's good at that. It's chill. The handling is super smooth on it. The suspension is not crazy overly soft, but soft enough where, again, I'm gonna hit a pothole right here and just glide right over it. Again, you're not gonna take this in a corner going 80 miles an hour, but it's that perfect middle ground. The engine, you still hear a little bit of engine noise. It's not an $80,000 vehicle where it's gonna block that engine noise. The engine is the perfect power. It's not crazy fast. I think it's 0 to 60 in 7.6 seconds. So it's nothing getting you off the line, but it still gets you off like when you're going on the highway and stuff. It's perfect. It really is an amazing vehicle. I really think we're gonna start to, miss the sedans going 5-10 years in the future. I'm a hatchback guy, so I do love, the crossover SUV type vehicles as well as most people do. I think they're practical, I think they're amazing. And I think in 5-10 years, we're gonna look back and be like, dang, I wish that wasn't a thing. I kind of want these vehicles back. But the real question is, what do you think about this vehicle? Do you like it or do you absolutely hate it? Are you sad that it's going away? Are you glad that it's going away? I'll be honest, I have a soft spot for this vehicle. My father had 2 of these growing up. Now, one, he drove it to the absolute ground, and the other one, he didn't do an oil change for 50,000 miles. So, what happens with it, it goes away, it dies. So I personally like this, but I think the Malibu doesn't have what it takes in today's day and age. It's just, everyone likes the bigger SUVs, bigger vehicles, and this is kind of slowly dying off. And also for the features that it provides, it's not that well equipped for the price point. Now, what I hope to see the Malibu do is either come back as an electric vehicle or come back as a normal gasoline engine in 5 years, completely new, updated, revamped, and good to today's quality. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? And a huge shout out to Executive Chevrolet in Wallingford, Connecticut. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to keep updated with more content.